The no-code app development space is absolutely exploding right now. And if you have ever thought about taking advantage of it, now is definitely the time. In this video, we're going to talk about different ways, different types of people and companies are taking advantage of no-code tools and how you can leverage them too, really no matter who you are and no matter what your background is. So that's what we're going to dive into today. First, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen and I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps, where we help business owners and industry experts build custom apps to either start their app-based businesses or grow their existing businesses, all without coding and with no technical background required. So we're going to kind of dissect the ways in which different people are taking advantage of no-code tools. And we're also going to be talking about this in the context of the world we live in today. Like I said, the no-code space is really exploding in popularity and demand right now. And that has been happening for a while and it's been trending in that way. But because of COVID and the effects of that and the pandemic, the shutdowns, and all of these business and economic and world changes that we're going through, it's really accelerated the growth of this space and it has kind of compressed the timeline that it was following. And so a lot of people are leaning on no-code tools now more than ever before. And like I said, they're leveraging them in different ways, both to get through this pandemic time and everything going on because of it, and also to, in the longer term, thrive in a post-pandemic kind of new normal that we will be living in. And so we're going to break all of that down. And what I'm going to do is share my screen. And we're going to jump over to the whiteboard here and talk about these different types of people, these different entities that are leveraging no-code tools. And you can kind of see where you might fall, both in terms of your title or your job description, or just in the direction you would like your career path or your business to go in the future, and even your lifestyle, really. So what we're looking at here on the screen are a handful of different types of people and entities. We have entrepreneurs, so people who are starting new businesses. These can both be budding entrepreneurs, so brand new entrepreneurs, or seasoned entrepreneurs. We have small business owners. These are generally people who we're looking at who are running agencies, so small agencies, or they are consultants, or they're running small services businesses, that type of thing. And then we're going to look at large businesses, so corporations, enterprises, much larger scale companies. We're also going to be looking at employees within those companies. And as kind of a bonus, we're going to be looking at budding developers too. So budding no code developers. Now we work with our own clients and some of them fall within these categories. And so we've had a lot of experience seeing exactly how people are coming into the no code space, even without technical backgrounds, and really using these tools effectively. Now, when I'm talking about no-code tools, I'm talking about really anything that could fall within the no-code space. So that includes anything from full application development platforms that let you build no-code apps from the ground up in completely customized ways. And we're also looking at really simple tools that let you create specific functionalities or that maybe let you connect software platforms that you're already using. So things that you would be using not to create necessarily an entire app, but that you just might be employing for really specific uses. So we're really covering all different types of tools here. So let's go through each of these so you can see some real examples of how people are using no code to their advantage. So with the entrepreneur, now I mentioned that this is kind of split into two different categories. We have the seasoned entrepreneur and we have the new entrepreneur. Now we have seen a lot of instances of entrepreneurs moving into the no code space. And it happens in these two ways. So number one, because of COVID and all of the effects of that and the effects on businesses and just the economy as a whole, a lot of people who were previously employed, who had careers and who were professionals within their careers, some of them had to change the capacity of their roles. Some of them went through layoffs. Some businesses have of course, gone through shutdowns. And so we have seen some of those professionals or some people who kind of fall within that grouping, they are coming out and pursuing entrepreneurship instead. And they're doing that with the use of no code tools because they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of industry knowledge. They have worked in these certain industries or companies that have enabled them to build up knowledge of problems being faced within those industries. And so for some of these people, we're seeing them step into the no code space so that they can sort of extract that knowledge, package it up into an application, and sell it. And in some cases, they're doing so to help businesses within their industry survive throughout the pandemic. And for some of them, they're looking more so to the future. Okay, what happens on the other side? Can we build a tool that helps them grow and thrive afterwards? So we're seeing a lot of that. We're also seeing a lot of people who, maybe they didn't necessarily lose their job or they didn't have to go through any changes in employment once the pandemic hit. But what we have seen happening is that a lot of people realized that the positions that they had, the jobs that they had, really could be changed in an instant. And for a lot of people, this left them feeling like they didn't have a lot of control over their career, their job, their livelihood, their lifestyle, or anything. They were really relying on the companies they worked for to survive these lockdowns and everything. And to a certain extent, they didn't really have all that much control over it. And it left a lot of people feeling like they needed to get back that control somehow. And so for some people, we have seen kind of new entrepreneurs coming out of the woodwork where, again, they have that industry knowledge. They have the knowledge of the problems being faced within certain companies and certain industries, and they want to do the exact same thing, not because they have, gone through job changes, but because they really just want to insulate themselves. So we're seeing a lot of new entrepreneurs do this. Now we're seeing a lot of seasoned entrepreneurs come into this space as well. People who like to create new things, who are visionaries, they're always thinking of how to solve new problems. Well, no code tools make it really easy to do that because you can create something relatively quickly and you can launch it and you can go through different iterations really, really quickly. And this kind of just feeds into that seasoned entrepreneurial mindset. So we're seeing a lot of people do that. And essentially, the really cool thing about no code tools is that there's no barrier. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to be a technically skilled person. You could come into the no code space. Yes, there are going to be things to learn, but you certainly don't need to learn how to code or anything like that and spend years of your life building up those skills. You can come into this space and you can take all of the knowledge that you have, all of the problems that you can solve if only you could create the solution. Then you can start creating those solutions. And so it's a really cool way to be able to just build up quick traction with these solutions that you have and start creating real businesses with them and to ultimately be able to change your entire career path, right? Change your job, change your lifestyle, change all of these things. And so we're seeing these entrepreneurial minded people really, really be drawn to the no code space for these reasons. Now, we're also seeing small business owners come into the no code space. And this is a really cool shift too. So this again, all of these things were happening regardless of the pandemic or despite the pandemic. All of these things were still happening. All of these people were starting to turn to the no code space. Again, it's just been accelerated now. And we've seen this with small business owners too. And so essentially what's happening is, you know, any small business wants to be able to grow and scale while generally still being able to operate in relatively lean ways. They want to keep their profit margins as obviously high as they can. Now, this is not specific to small businesses. This is with any business, but with small businesses specifically, the changes in the markets, changes in industries, changes in the global climate and anything can affect small businesses a lot more, obviously. And so with small business owners, no code tools are allowing them to essentially run in more efficient ways and scale further without having to limit their resources, which are already smaller, more limited because they are small businesses. And so these small business owners that we're seeing coming into the no code space are they're doing a few different things. So for some of them, they are paying right now way, way, way too much to run their businesses using different software platforms. Now, if you're a small business owner, you can probably relate to this. You have to be able to use lots of different tools to run any part of your business or really all of your business. For some small business owners, different software platforms just make up the framework of their business. Now for some, and some of our clients are these small business owners as well, and they've told us they're spending tens of thousands of dollars every single year just paying for software. Now, one of the things they really that really holds them back, aside from the high costs, obviously, is that they're also being forced to compromise when it comes to this software. When you find out of the box software solutions, they are generally catered to industries, to certain markets, but not necessarily to all the niche small businesses within those industries and within those markets. And so what we find happening is, not only are these small business owners overpaying on software, but they're also compromising on what they're getting. So they're having to kind of fill in the gaps and the holes that are missing from what they really need. And so they're overpaying, but they're also not really getting what they need or what they want, which obviously isn't a combination you want to have. So uh, a lot of small business owners simply want to use no code tools to replace those software platforms that they're using. They want to build their own all in one solution so that they can customize it to themselves, so that they can create everything they need and they can cut out those tens of thousands of dollars in software costs every single year. I mean, that's a massive change for any small business to be able to save 30, 40, 50,000 or more dollars a year. That's huge. And not only that, but these small business owners are realizing, and this is even more so true now because of the pandemic and the lockdowns than ever before, but they really need to automate processes that can be automated, because you get to a certain point where you don't want to just keep hiring more and more people to do things that software can do for you. And that's not to say that you just want to cut your team or you want to, not have to have employees. I mean, every business is different in terms of the team size that they want, but what's more valuable in being able to automate processes and not having to employ people to manually operate those processes is that you can now employ people instead to focus on more revenue generating activities rather than just manually running processes that are really simple to automate if you know how to leverage no code tools. And so that's a major change, because not only does it help reduce costs, but it also helps generate more revenue, because you can actually focus your resources on things that are going to help scale your business. So this is really, really excellent way to be able to leverage no-code tools. And we're seeing lots of small business owners do this. Now, we're also seeing them kind of on the flip side, maybe not on the flip side, but I guess in addition to this, rather, is, they're building out their own internal systems, and then they are packaging those systems up and selling them to businesses like theirs down the road, because there are always going to be other niche businesses that operate in similar ways that also are paying too much for software costs, are compromising on what they're getting, and they want systems that they can afford and that work for them too. And so these small business owners who are leveraging no-code tools, not only are they helping themselves in the immediate, they're also helping themselves in the long term, because they can potentially create a whole new business or an additional revenue stream on top of their business as well. And this just helps them insulate themselves even more to changes that can happen with the economy and in the whole business climate. And the more you can insulate yourself, the more confident you're going to feel moving forward. Because if a change happens in some market or in some industry, and one business or one part of the business suffers, well, you can lean on the other part of the business or your other revenue stream or streams. So this one is definitely really important to think about and to understand if you are a small business owner, because there's just so much you can do with no-code tools. Now, we also have large businesses. Large businesses are coming into the no-code space more and more and more. And what they're doing is really in the exact same ways that small business owners are able to grow and scale their own businesses with no-code tools. Large businesses can do this too. But whereas with the small businesses, it's usually going to be the business owner or one person on the team who is creating these systems and managing these systems. With a large business, we're seeing the growth of what you would call citizen developers. Now, citizen developers are really just teams or employees, and they're existing employees within a large company that is using no-code tools to help build and manage systems within the business. So instead of these large businesses having to outsource to IT departments or IT solutions, or having to build their own IT departments or whatever it may be, or having to hire developers or outsource to developers, instead of having to do all of those things, they can really just bring a lot of these operations in-house. And so not only does this save them money, which is obviously a really important trend that we're looking at here, it doesn't just save them money, but it also helps them stay agile. And this is important for large businesses, because the bigger the business grows, usually the more slowly changes are able to be made, because all those changes have to kind of trickle down through the entire business and all the departments. But when you have citizen developers, employees who know how to use no-code tools within these large businesses, the business itself can become a lot more agile, because they don't have to wait for their IT department to go through all the code and to push really big changes that take a lot longer. They don't have to outsource. They don't have to do all those things. They can just get their citizen developers, those existing employees who simply know how to use no-code tools, to make immediate changes, to move a lot more quickly. So anything that is broken, anything that's going wrong, any hiccups they've come across with systems, it's a really simple change. And it allows them a lot more agility, which just spurs their growth and their scale even more, because they don't have to suck so many of their resources out to focus on the coding and the development or the outsourcing of their systems that also traditionally cost way, way, way too much. So large businesses are also really taking advantage of no-code tools. Now, we talked about these citizen developers, these employees within the businesses. And that's what we're looking at here, the employees. So if you yourself, and this is a little bit more of a niche situation, but if you yourself are working within a company, you can be that citizen developer. And what's really cool about this is that uh, it gives you as an employee more of that insulation we've kind of been talking about. Because, like I said, these citizen developers are existing employees within a company who now are learning how to use no code tools and helping the company employ them, essentially employ the no code tools. And that adds a ton of value to your place within the company, because not only are you acting as an existing employee for whatever role you currently hold, but if you can bring this extra value to the table that directly allows those large businesses to do the things that we just talked about, well, that adds a ton of value to you and your position. And especially when we're in this climate where there's a ton of uncertainty, the more value you can sort of bring to the table, the more you can insulate yourself, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And it just gives you more opportunities as well. So if you can be the person who brings those no code tools into the business and who helps that business survive right now with everything going on and thrive in the future, right after this passes, well, you're just adding a ton of value to yourself, and that's a skill set that will continue to be highly valuable from here on out. So that brings us to our last one, our budding developers, and we see a lot of our own clients thinking on this path as well. So first, let me zoom out a little bit here. We specifically have clients, a lot of our clients are in this entrepreneur category here, whether they're seasoned or new entrepreneurs. A lot of our clients fall into this category right here, where they're small business owners. So they're kind of replacing their systems and looking for ways to grow and scale without just spending more time or hiring more team. Now, for a lot of these, the entrepreneurs here, a lot of them are thinking about the immediate. What can they do in the immediate that allows them to start a new business, that allows them to solve more problems that they have knowledge on? But they're also already thinking about the fact that they do have an entrepreneur mindset and that they like to create things. They are uh, more so a visionary. They like problem solving. And so they're coming to us and they're creating the apps or the solutions that they have in mind for the immediate, but then they are also at the same time developing the skills and the mindsets and the assets necessary so that they can continue creating these new businesses and new products down the road as well. So they're thinking both immediate and long term here. And we already touched on this, but it's the same thing with these small business owners. They're thinking in the immediate right now. How can I create systems and operations? How can I run my business with no code tools? How can I leverage no code tools to operate in more profitable ways, to be more efficient, to be more effective, to grow and scale? How can I do that in the immediate? And how is that going to help me long term? So both immediate and long term. And in the long term, it's in a couple of different ways. Now, obviously, the immediate solutions that no code tools bring them, those will just carry on into the long term. All the cost savings, all the efficiencies that they're enabling themselves, all of that will carry into the long term. But then we're seeing them start to think about, okay, how can I now package this up and sell it to other businesses like mine as well? How can I start creating new revenue streams? Okay, so we're seeing this in definitely the immediate, definitely the long term as well. Now, both of them, what's really cool, especially to us, is that we see a lot of clients who really find that they love using these no code tools. They love being able to create their ideas and their visions and their solutions. And they love the agility. They love the control it gives them. They love the power it gives them. They love it. And a lot of them even more forward thinking, in the kind of in the back of their minds, are thinking, man, it would be cool to just build apps in general. Maybe it's an entrepreneur who likes creating new side hustles or new businesses or new solutions, and they love having these different sources of income and these different income streams going. Well, some of them think about just becoming no code developers and helping other people like them to create systems and things like that. The same with the small business owners. We found that lots of different people right now are just in the mindset of, how can I expand my skills? How can I create things that will not only help me in the immediate, but that are going to serve me long term as well? That's It's always been important, but it's so much more important now than ever before. People are constantly thinking about, what can I do right now? What can I do to help right now? What can I do to, in a lot of cases, survive right now? And what can I do now that's going to allow me to grow and thrive later on? What can I do now that will serve as an asset from here on out? And the underlying answer to that can start with no code tools, and it can start with the no code space. And obviously, it's no surprise that we're massive proponents of this. And so, like I said at the beginning, if you're thinking about leveraging no code tools as an entrepreneur, or as a small business owner, or as a business, or as an employee, or whoever you are, if you're thinking about leveraging no code tools, now is the time to do so, because there is so much opportunity for you out there. And hopefully this overview and rundown of what we've been seeing happening in the space, and what we see a lot of our own clients accomplishing as well, hopefully that helps you move forward from here. Now, if you haven't started building your app yet, but you want to, and especially now, or maybe you have started building your app, but you want to make sure you're going down the right path. You want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, because I also mentioned this at the beginning. Even though it's no code, even though we're using no code tools here, there's still a lot you need to learn to be able to really leverage them in the most effective ways possible. So if you haven't quite started building your app yet, or you've started but you really want to make sure you're heading in the right direction, we have a free workshop that you are welcome to join in on. You can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/workshop and sign up for it there. And we'll guide you step by step through a process that we use for getting started with no code apps. We'll talk about some different tools and some different ways that people are really using these tools effectively. It's a really great way to jumpstart your journey into this space, or just to, again, make sure you're going in the right direction. So you can head to coachingnocodeapps.com/workshop to join in with that. We hope to see you there. And thanks so much for watching. Again, I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.